What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Boleros. Sam here with the Sultan of Sando, Mr. Gablim, and Mr. Mawiap. Happy Sunday to everyone.
Paano pa ba mag-podcast? Nakalimutan ko na eh.
Episode 10.
Matagal-tagal na eh. Medyo wala tayong masyadong content, kaya pahinga-pahinga muna
we
tayo.
were also busy. Ang dami nating trips.
Malapit na
Gaya-
Gilas.
Oo.
Madami episode.
Next
Malapit
week,
na
marami
Gilas.
tayong pag-uusapan.
Marami tayong content. Oo,
Marami tayong
tama.
pag-uusapan.
Tama yan.
Next week.
Speaking of Gilas, medyo pag-uusapan din natin siya mamaya. We do have a couple of Gilas news. So, for today's episode, we are going to do a short news recap of things that has happened around the basketball scene the past few days or weeks since matagal na tayong hindi nag-episode. We'll maybe talk about the UAAP, Gilas, and a little bit of NBA, I would say. So, instead of talking about the news straight up, we just did a little fill in the blank. So, we prepared a couple of statements here. Then, Gab, Maui, and myself will be filling in the blanks. Okay, are you guys ready?
Ready. 2 weeks na akong ready.
2 weeks ka nang nag-aantay. Actually, si Gab, matagal na niya gusto gawin yung episode na to. Buti na lang. At hindi pa natin ginawa kasi may
Naghintay
news tayo
tayo.
recently. May developments
yung may
recently.
pasabog.
We'll talk about that later. Okay, first question. UAAP muna tayo. The biggest takeaway from DLSU versus UP's first preseason game is blank. To our listeners, please also comment down below your answers to our questions. So, Gab, let's start with you. The biggest takeaway to the first UP versus LaSalle preseason game is blank.
Okay. For those who don't know, I don't think it's in the it's in the pop culture back of mind thing that they did play a game in Zamboanga. I think it was an invitational tournament.
Sibugay Invitational.
And UP beat LaSalle. The revenge. The preseason UP Fighting Maroons strike again. But yeah, they won and pretty entertaining game. UP got way hot in the third quarter. LaSalle stormed back in the fourth after being down by as much, I think, as 21 or 20.
20, yeah?
Yeah. So, very entertaining game. Full rotations. Almost full rotations. I guess you could say that a majority of the main guys were there. Jacob Cortez played. Remogat played. Gani Stevens played. Payosing, yung VJ Pre, Marasigan, Makalalag, Amos, Pablo. All of the main guys played. So this was pretty entertaining. There was some experimenting with both teams. Coach Topek was not there. So still a preseason game. But my biggest takeaway, and I hope I don't jinx this or I don't get Harold Alarcon, the Jacob Baila breakout is coming. The Jacob Baila breakout is coming. If you watch the game closely, I don't think he had big numbers, but they were definitely running more offense through Jacob Baila. He was running pick and roll from the top of the key. He was running more off-ball screens from off-ball screens. They were giving him more usage. They were giving him more responsibilities on the offensive end. I have been on record in past seasons and even this past season clamoring for Jacob Baila to get more minutes. Even over guys like Raylon Torres, Terence Fortea, even sometimes Jerry Abadiano, because he can play defense, he can shoot the ball, not as well as the others, but he can defend multiple positions, he can create his own shot. I think he definitely deserved more of a role, more than what was given to him in the past couple of seasons. He was mainly an off the bench, a guy you put on the best player on the other team, like what he did with KQ and Jacob Cortez in the past two finals. So that was mainly his role. He wasn't given much offensive responsibility. It was mainly going to Remogat, to Kagulangan, Alarcon, Francis Lopez in the past in season 87. So for this preseason game, it's just one game, but my biggest takeaway, I think, is Jacob Baila is coming. Now, I've been, I thought about this really hard because I called for Harold Alarcon's breakout for 3 preseasons in a row, and we called
Kasama
him.
ko dyan.
Diba? Yung palagi natin sinasabi, Harold Alarcon is him. Pero, pucha, nawawala si Harold Alarcon palagi. Even nung finals this past season, yung nag-disappearing act na naman si Harold Alarcon. But I hope this is the breakout. Now, I'm still a bit skeptical because he is playing with a bunch of high usage players. You talk about Ray Mogat, who needs the ball. We've seen this. VJ Pre is playing with him, who also requires the ball, also requires shots and touches. We have guys like I don't think si Payosing is gonna be a high usage guy. Si Rainier Maga is there with him. So there's still a lot of mouths to feed in the UP roster. But I like what I see from Jacob Baila. I like that they're giving him more opportunity. They're giving him more responsibility on the offensive end. And I really think he has it. And I like it, Maui, because I think you really support this because he's a guy with good size, very good skill set, who's Gilas eligible. Diba? How many 6'4" guards do you see out there? Who are Gilas eligible? There are only a few. Diba? A guy with a skill set of Jacob Baila is definitely you can see him making the Gilas men's roster. So I like what I see. I think it's still early. Let's see how they mesh with each other. Again, there are other guys that need shots, but I like where Coach Gold is going with this, that he's giving more responsibility to Jacob Baila. So that's my biggest takeaway from this game.
Love that pick. Also, love Jacob Baila. I think some people talked about how he was very frustrated after nung finals, diba? Did not look happy after that. I think he needs to channel that anger. Naka-hoodie. Is this Hoodie Jacob? Are we calling him Hoodie Jacob now? Like Hoodie Mello? He needs to channel Hoodie Jacob, channel that energy for his revenge season next season. Could be an early candidate for a rising star in the preseason. We always talk about our preseason MVPs. Could be an early candidate for that. Maui.
My biggest takeaway from this game is 7 Kagate will be UP's next biggest regret. No, joke. But no. I think
he started.
Pwede. He's been playing a lot
siya.
for LaSalle buong
Pwede
preseason.
siya, but kidding aside, I think no, my biggest takeaway is really this. UP and LaSalle are still the favorites for next season.
Yeah.
Despite losing so many players and despite LaSalle losing probably the most important player for the past 2 or 3 seasons from their lineup. Top heavy, top down, top to bottom pa rin. They have the best talent. I think UP has grabe, di ba? You despite losing Maroon 4+1, di ba? They still have so much talent.
Also Maroon 4+1. Jet Felicilda, how are you, bro?
They still have so much talent, especially in guard slot. I love what we've seen from Ogana, what we've seen from Payosing. They bring different elements to the team, which is what they need usually, diba, with their backcourt. A lot of versatility. And LaSalle still has so much. It's just that they have more questions to ask, maybe, versus previous seasons. But coming into next season, I still believe that they are the favorites. Diba? I believe they have the best point guards with Remogat and Jacob Cortez. I think UP probably has even a bigger ceiling than last season. Kasi you knew what you were getting. With this team, anything can happen, but the talent level is maybe a bit higher. I'm excited to see how players who are going back next season, like Gagate, and of course, how VJ Pre will star in the bright lights, playing for a team who's vying for a championship. So yeah, I still believe these two teams are the favorites. Believe it or not, after maybe 4 seasons in a row.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, Maui. Actually, that was also sort of my takeaway from this. The UAAP still has to go through these two teams, Lasal and UP. But I think I do wanna add on to what you said or just focus siguro as a takeaway dun sa na-mention mo, which is I think LaSalle has a bigger hole to fill with the departure of Mike Phillips versus the departure of the Maroon 4 plus 1, as you would say. I think that's what I'm seeing from this. Not just from this game, actually, but from the entire preseason so far. No offense to Seven Gagate, but I did not expect Seven Gagate to get this much minutes or this much touches as a start, even becoming a starting center for Lasal. I think for the preseason, it's good. But definitely not something that you would expect. Like, if Lasal plans to contend next season and defend the championship, ang laki nung drop-off, no? From like Mike Phillips, isama mo na si Nuangco, Mike Phillips plus Nuangco versus like Gagate and Mandiria. Assuming si Mandiria yung magiging FSA nila. He's been solid, I think, si Mandiria. You guys have mentioned. I've also read some of the stats. He's been okay, but definitely not a Mike Phillips level. So my question is there going to be like a game-changing big? Doesn't have to be a center, maybe even like a, I don't know, like a four or whoever that can help LaSalle defend the championship this season. Kasi they lost not just Mike, but even Baklaan, diba? So, a lot of big players. LaSalle lost a lot of big players and there are huge shoes to fill. So, I think yung takeaway ko, they're still one of the top contenders. They still have a ton of guys, a ton of talent, very deep. But the question is, can they match up with UP, who has still probably one of the deepest benches, even after losing what four main guys. So yun.
Just a funny note yung from this game. The starting fives are composed majority of transferees from both teams. I think 7 of the 10 starters are all transferees. Like from UP, they started Payosing, Remogat, Baila, Pre, and Steven. So four of the
Stevens,
five
oo nga, no?
were transferees. So are we gonna call them the UP Red Tamaral Warriors or something? Yung sa Lasal naman, it was Gagate, Pablo, Abadam, Cortez, and I think it was Makalalag. So are we gonna call them the Green Maroon Lions?
Green
or
Maroons.
Oh, state
Green
of the
Maroons.
UAAP now. Majority are yung are transferees for both of these teams. So that's a funny note.
After all the ano no, Gab, after all the hullabaloo about yung 2-year residency and everything, yung ending is puro transfers pa rin yung
Diba?
nasa teams na.
So not much about the rule, the 2-year residency. Still, we're still having transfers. Maybe try to scrap the rule, UAP.
Okay, speaking of the UAAP and speaking of Mike Phillips, we do have huge news. I think it was just yesterday, Maui, yung sinend mo yung link. Mike Phillips being eligible for as a local for Gila. So this is huge news. I don't think this was in any of our 2026 bingo cards, UAAP Gilas bingo cards, na Mike Phillips would be considered as a local for the Philippines. This is huge news for us. Of course, everybody's excited for Mike Phillips to join Gilas. My hope is, our expectation is, we haven't heard anything yet, but we're hoping that Mike will join Gilas sooner rather than later. So the question for you guys is, Mike Phillips, or the statement for you guys is, Mike Phillips' biggest contribution to Gilas will be blank. Mike Phillips, biggest contribution to Gilas will be blank. Let's go with you, Maui. Wala kang audio, Maui. Let's see. Gab.
All right. I'll go first habang inaayos ni Maui yung kanyang audio. Uh, Mike Phillips' biggest contribution will be his switchability. I think that is pretty important. If you've watched Mike Phillips at all for his 5 UAP seasons, you know he can guard literally 1 through 5. He's he's at the head of the press at times in Coach Topex Robinson's sets. You know, he guards everyone on the floor, and I think you'll see that for Gilas with Mike Phillips. We've seen it already when he was playing for Coach Tim Cone in the Southeast Asian Games in Cambodia. Uh, now he still now compared to that big guy from Cambodia, you know, I do remember they had a really big bulking center. You know, he still gets out muscled, but you won't question his hustle, his defensive tenacity. That is what he's gonna bring. I don't think he's gonna ask for shots. That's not Mike Phillips' game. He had that in season 87 when it was just him and KQ you running the offense. But I don't think in any version of Gilas that he is going to demand the ball or demand shots, demand usage. He's gonna grab rebounds, protect the rim, and enable Gilas to switch more, because that's been Gilas' Achilles heel. For how many games, how many windows already in FIBA, whenever Junmar Fajardo is there on the floor, and whenever Coach Tim Cone does not want to switch the ball screen, they get cooked. They need a guy like si AJ Edu who can switch out onto the perimeter and just guard the quick players, enable them to be more flexible on ball screen actions. I think that is going to be Mike Phillips' biggest contribution to Gilas. That additional wrinkle of him just wreaking havoc on the defensive end, not getting killed on pick and rolls time and time again. I think that is going to be Mike Phillips' trump card for Gilas, because they have QMB now, who we'll talk about later. QMB is not much of a switchable guy, but he's more of a rim protector, a traditional rim protecting and rim running big. You're gonna love that little twist that they're gonna have. They can maybe go to drop coverage with QMB in the paint, who can protect the rim more than Junmar. You can have AJ Edu, who's a more athletic and more dynamic offensive player compared to QMB and to Mike Phillips. You can have Mike Phillips, who can just bring the defense, diba? And also, siguro biggest contribution nga ay kay Junmar Fajardo. Because Junmar, I think with Mike Phillips coming into Gilas and being classified as a local, I think we can tell Junmar, hey, Junmar, salamat sa serbisyo. Alam kong yung marami ng miles on those legs. It's time to retire. I think he should follow Japeth in the next...
retire as a Gilas player.
Yeah, you retire as a Gilas player. So, sundan na si Japeth. I think, how old is Junmar now? I think he's 38. Tama ba? 38 na si Junmar, diba? Or 37, 30 yung 38 si Junmar. So, he's nearing...
36.
Oh, yun.
36. Yeah.
So, he's nearing the retirement age right now. I mean, I don't think he wants to go to an Asi Taulava level, play until he's 42, yung 43, 45, you know, come on. Maawa naman tayo kay Abay. We see him, the New Zealand coach in the last window, I think, has been on record saying, whenever Fajardo is on the floor, target him. And they did. Go at him!
Kailangan mo yung accent.
This is me accurate. This is me accurate. Target him. Whenever Fajardo is there, go at him. And they know.
I'm sorry to Australia. Ay, to New Zealand. I'm sorry.
Kiwis. The Kiwis. Sorry if that was inaccurate. Was that Kiwi or I don't know. So anyway, Junmar can still contribute, but we know the problem with him being the main center on defense. on defense, he's going to get targeted. And I think having now four capable bigs, four young capable bigs you can put into the roster, QMB, Mike Phillips, Kai Soto, and AJ Edu. Perhaps we can add more to the pool, Coach Tim Con. There are a lot of talented big men here. Si Balti's there already. I do hope he plays as a wing though, si Balti. But the fact that we're getting younger, our bigs are getting younger, that is amazing for me. I've been clamoring for this for a long time. But yeah, his switchability, his defensive acumen is definitely Mike Phillips' biggest contribution. Maui.
Yeah, I was saying before my mic was started to fault me, I think yung contribution ni Mike Phillips to the Gilas program is not on the court, not yung biggest contribution niya. I think the biggest contribution that Mike Phillips, despite being, I think, a valuable member of that very versatile young big men that we're getting, I think his biggest contribution by far will be giving the blueprint to Gilas on how to get eligibility quickly. I think that will be the biggest contribution.
Wow, okay. I like that.
I tried to dig up and ask around how in the world did Mike Phillips get this eligibility as quick as possible. I think si Navs posted that si Ben Phillips played a big part, and from what I hear, apparently Mike Phillips really showed yung roots na here in the Philippines because I think they have a business. And I think that played a big part on how to show that he is really committed as a Filipino citizen. Definitely that played a big part on him getting that eligibility quicker than I think most of the other people that the SBP has been petitioning. I think si QMB is not a good example, diba? Kasi those had something to do with paperwork, but I think that's the biggest thing. Si Mike Phillips has contributed. He has shown the blueprint on how Gilas can help, or how Gilas can manage other top prospects, especially those who play in the UAAP or the NCAA. Diba? Maybe si Jonty Miller, they can tell him, put up something here in the Philippines to show your roots. I think that's something that Gilas has to explore. I think that's something that players who want to play for Gilas in the future can explore. And I think that would be the biggest underrated contribution that Mike Phillips will give to our program moving forward. Sab.
I love that, Maui. I love yung outside of the box thinking. Actually, it took everyone by surprise. So I think that's a huge thing, no? If people could sort of replicate or scale yung ginawa ni Mike Phillips, baka magkakaroon na ng Jantis Karinderya, Balungay Sari-Sari Store, dahil sa ginawa ni Mike Phillips.
Baka maabuso ka. Baka maabuso din.
Yun lang. But no, kidding aside, I do love that. I think for Mike Phillips also, a lot of things went his way then because he had the business. He played for LaSalle, started college as a freshman. He speaks very fluent Filipino. Isa pa yun sa, like, na-surprise ako when I think he was a rookie, in interview siya, sumasagot siya ng Tagalog. So, it's not fake. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, shout out to Mike. He really...
Ano yan? Yung what's their business? Yan nga natin yan. Bili nga tayo dyan.
Scam pala eh, no? Scammer pala eh, no?
Yung pala, illegitimate, no? Pero, if anyone knows that yung...
Baka DPWH contractor pala yan, bro.
Patay tayo dyan. But yeah, tama ka, Gab. If anyone knows their business, please comment them down below. Masupport nga, makabili nga ng something dyan. Yeah, I love that pick, Maui. I think that's the best answer. But just to give my answer, it's kind of related to Gab. I think yung best contribution niya, I don't expect him to score, just like what you guys said. I don't expect him to be the superstar, but I think he gives grit and athleticism. I think yung tenacity ni Mike Phillips as a player, yung I hate using the word kasi sobrang overused sa Gilas, pero yung puso 'di ba? Yung tenacity and grit niya as a basketball player, I think that's something he can contribute to this team. How I imagine him, yung intangible contribution niya, sort of like a Mark Pingris of this new generation of Gilas. Because I feel like that's something that's not there yet, or maybe that's missing for Gilas. So I think Mike could be that perfect guy. Leveled up Mark Pingris, yung athletic, yung grit and tenacity niya. But the second thing, I think, that he can sort of contribute, which relates to what Gab said, yung flexibility or yung options ng team, is yung athleticism niya and being able to switch nga with other players. And I think it's perfect, diba? Kasi Japet just retired. He was the athletic big man for the longest time. So I think Mike Phillips coming in, replacing Japet, is like perfect timing. So definitely, he's a guy that can contribute a lot to Gilas. I'm hoping and praying, though, two things that I'm worried about. Number one, I hope walang mangyari na similar to what we're going to talk about later, which is the QMB contract situation. Hopefully, walang mangyari na ganon. And then, second thing, I'm just a bit concerned about Mike Phillips playing for Gilas. Tie ball game. The opposed New Australia will foul Mike Phillips. Mike Phillips shooting
Mike.
the game with Haka Mike. I think that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about seeing Haka
naramdaman
Mike
ng lahat ng
games.
lasalista the past couple of
Exactly! Yung anxiety ng mga lasalista the past few years, mararamdaman na ng buong Pilipinas.
Sammy, to be fair, I felt that way with Enrico Villanueva when I was a little boy.
That's true.
Diba?
That's true.
Yung fear of his free throws, naramdaman ko na yan. Si Maui knows it.
Yung one-handed, bro.
Yeah, but I am excited for Mike Phillips to join Gilas. Anything else you want to add, Gab, before we move on to the next?
Nothing. I don't think he'll be joining the upcoming window. It's gonna be too late. Coach Tim Cohn is all about familiarity with the system, preparation. I don't think he's gonna insert someone who just got his eligibility right into the lineup. And I think they've already submitted their lineup for the upcoming window. So I don't think we're gonna see Mike in this window, but I do look forward to him. He's been wanting to play. And I think his statement is handa na siya. And whether you hate him or you love him, I know UP fans don't like him because he's the guy you don't like playing against because he is energetic. He eggs on the crowd. He I don't think he trash talks. He does trash talk. He talks trash a lot. Whether you hate him or you love him, you're gonna have to cheer for him. I don't know how UP fans are gonna feel about that, cheering for Mike Phillips, but we need him. We lack in capable bigs here in the Philippines, local bigs. So the fact that we got Mike Phillips as a local, not as a naturalized player, big thing. The fact him and QMB are eligible as locals for Gilas. This is going to be big for our future, for our Gilas, for our national team. Can't wait.
One last thing, I do hope and pray na maging healthy sila. That was one of the problems we've had the past few years. Hindi nagsasabay si Edu and si Kai because they both get injured at different times. So hopefully maging healthy na yung Gilas. Maui.
Yeah, I think just to bounce off dun sa last statement mo about being healthy, at least finally we have 4 big men, young big men in the rotation. But I wanted to say lang, just as a parting word to Mike, if you're watching the Boleros podcast, congratulations and welcome to Gilas and welcome to the B League. Because with your Gilas eligibility, you are now eligible to play as a Asian import in the B League.
Perfect. Congrats to him. He deserves it. Speaking of big men for Gilas and QMB, let's talk about the QMB versus Gilas drama, I would say. So, the next statement, the QMB versus Gilas drama makes me feel blank. Gab. Ay, sorry. Maui naman. Nawala pala si Maui kanina. Maui's turn.
Makes me want to vomit. I'll be blunt about it.
Well, we're
Why?
coming out swinging after a few
No, no,
weeks off. Grabe. May
no, no,
pa-DBWH contractor si Maui.
no filter.
Makes me vomit eh. I love
Ito
it. I love
nangyayari
it.
sa atin eh. Ito nangyayari sa atin when we can't let go of the feelings, di ba? So we're no filter today. Super extremely blunt and no filter. No, but it makes me want to vomit because why does it have to be so dramatic? Everything has to be so dramatic. Even basketball has to be so dramatic here in the Philippines. It's so crazy. But at the same time, I'm happy that it's been resolved. Diba? I think the father of QMB had to intervene. I think even not just the QMB drama, even the Kai Soto drama. Diba? Apparently there's been a misrepresentation, I think, of interest. Ito na naman yung kay Kai Soto. Diba? You don't know, the Japan team denied that they were the reason. Apparently it was the management team. It's just so dramatic. Diba? It's basketball, it's sports. It should be celebrated. It should not be, fans should not create some sort of chaos or hatred because of basketball. It should put us together. Diba? Sports should bring us together. Gilas should bring us together, and the drama just never ends when it comes to
Nagiging divisive eh, no?
Gilas.
Nagkaka-divide pa.
Nagiging divisive eh, and people are hating on different fronts. Diba? Even it's just so crazy, which is why I'm so tired of it. Diba? The players are even getting blamed, diba? To the point that pati salary ng players pinag-uusapan. But if it's different, diba? You cannot compare the requirements, especially now that Filipino players are now global. Diba? They have commitments, they have needed insurances, and these players bring it on the court. Diba? Every one of them, always. They do not it's very very it's not very common that these players don't bring it, and that these players don't want to play for Gilas. Diba? That these players want to, first and foremost, before getting that eligibility, and I'm just happy. Diba? Si QMB na sinisira na nila, and he just played one of the very good he just had a very good debut during the last window, and I'm happy it's resolved this quick, because you don't want people to hate on QMB the same way people hated on the Ravenas, who I think are not playing for Gilas because of all those hatred.
Yeah, I agree. Gab, I just want to jump on Maui's point because na-mention na ni Maui yung sagot ko. This drama makes me feel drained. Yun yung feeling ko. So, kind of similar to what you said, Maui. Parang it's the same thing all over again eh. We get good news, QMB getting eligible, and then we get like this type of drama na they're pointing fingers at each other, 'di ba? Hindi natin alam who's telling the truth. This camp says this camp says another thing. So, nakakapagod. But what tama ka, Maui. What you said is I want to get excited. I want to cheer for Gilas. It should be one whole team. It should unite us. Pero it's unnecessary drama for me. It's very unnecessary. And again, I feel relieved na naayos agad yung issue. The problem is, why did we have to air out the laundry? 'Di ba? Parang maybe it could have been fixed privately or handled better, I think. It's just for us fans. We've been through a lot of drama in the past. Can we just get on with playing good basketball and getting everyone on the same page, I think. So, nakakapagod lang because it's happening again. But I'm happy. I'm happy QMB's joining. With Kai, I just wanna add, I think mas understandable yung kay Kai. Whatever the reason is, I think if you're coming from an ACL injury, everyone knows that. Even NBA players, it takes time for them to come back. And when they do come back, they don't really play like at 100%, or they take a ton of games off. I mean, you can look at Jason Tatum, probably, who's supposedly like healthy, ready to return, but still iffy, 'di ba? So I think understandable yung kay Kai for me. So for people hating on Kai, please give him some time. I think he has committed to the next window, FIBA window. So at least we'll have him by then. Gab.
You mentioned my answer to the question. So the Gilas QMB saga slash drama makes me feel relieved. Because one, kung wala si QMB, honestly, we're gonna be pretty small. It's gonna be AJ Edu and Junmar, and
Oh my
that's it.
god.
We are relieved because these are home court games, and kung wala si QMB, we're gonna get smacked. On our
Baka
home
magka
court.
last minute comeback tour na naman si Japet Aguilar.
Oh, di ba? Japet, baka pwede mag-retire ka ulit, yung balik ka for just 2 games. But yeah, relieved. I do hope we are more competitive. We give the last time we played New Zealand here, we won. It was a great game. I was there. So I hope we give a good fight. We have not really played Australia close ever. I don't think so. I hope this gives us more of a chance. Australia is even without their NBA players, they're still pretty good. They're still very, very good. A very capable, very physical team. We're going to need QMB's size and rim protection. We're going to need his rebounding. So that makes me feel relieved. Second, it makes me feel relieved because I think the SBP and the Filipino basketball fandom are being open to maybe there is a generational disconnect between the SBP and the current crop of young players. But I think QMB's agent put out a statement that there was something in the contract that they did not like, and SBP, ito na yung from all the reporting, ito na yung contract, take it or leave it. Because the SBP is ruled by the old heads. The old heads from the PBA and the old heads from the old basketball managing group. And I think sanay sila from being the ones in power. Diba? Sanay sila with guys in the PBA now, whenever they say you're playing here, you're playing here. Whatever we give, that's it. Ito yung contract mo, kunin mo na yung maglaro ka. They're always sanay sila with being the boss, with dictating the terms. The current crop of young players don't think that way. Diba? Which is why guys are hesitant to join the PBA. But they don't want to be told that you have to play here. You can't play anywhere else. This is your pay. Take it or leave it. Which is why guys like sila Dave Ildefonso don't want to play in the PBA because I'm not taking that deal. I'm not being told that this is what it has to be. So there is definitely a generational gap between the SBP who's so used to being in power versus the current players who feel so empowered that, hey, I have the power. I can make my own decisions. Diba? So to QMB and to QMB's agent, why am I gonna play in a tournament which hampers my professional career? Diba? You can't dictate me playing here if I don't want to. I'm gonna play in this tournament because this is what I committed to. Diba? So yun, I think the SBP is getting a taste of their own medicine. Honestly, that they're the ones being told, hey, I'm not. They're the ones being told what to do. You give us this contract because this is what we talked about. We're not doing something extra for you, diba? The players have to think of their own career, and I think some people don't like that. Some people sanay na when the players are told to play, and when they're called up, they immediately, you know, they play. They answer the call. Some people don't like that the players are dictating the terms. Diba? Ano, maglaro ka na lang. But players now have more choice. It's not just the PBA. I think we have to realize that us basketball fans and the basketball leadership of the country have to realize that the players have choice now. They have options. I'm not gonna play if you don't pay me what I'm worth. I think si Kai Soto has had that problem before, di ba? Parang ang baba ng binibigay sa kanya and he didn't want that type of salary. Players can now dictate what they're worth. And I think I'm very relieved that the current crop of young players are putting up a fight against, you know, the past generation or the authorities that are trying to dictate what they're worth and where and when they play. So ako, might be a hot take, I don't care. I think this is good. I think this is good na the players are taking back some of the power.
Yeah. And I think we need to get used to it, 'di ba? Kasi if we really wanna get the best talent for to build Gilas, most probably these guys are going to be coming from the B League, the KBL, or even other leagues, 'di ba? So I think the issue with like QMB's contract was yung parang it lacked certain like safety nets, 'di ba? Something like that with
Plus,
parang
an extra
insurances
tournament,
for,
Sam, diba?
yeah,
He was
plus
he
the
was you,
requirement to play outside the FIBA game. So um Maui, you mentioned kanina Mike Phillips showing a blueprint to joining Gilas. Maybe they need to figure out like what's the best way to integrate all of these B League and KBL and international locals playing internationally into the Gilas team. I think that's what they need to figure out because if we want the best team, we'll probably have to pull players from local players playing in international leagues. So the sooner they figure that out, the better. Dapat nga naman, 'di ba? Whatever I guess contract the other guys are getting in terms of like meron bang insurances and everything, it should probably apply to everyone. So, yeah, at least naayos na. I'm glad QMB is playing for Gilas in this upcoming window. Moving on, let's talk about the NBA. So, a lot of things have been happening in the NBA recently. Maraming news. We had the All-Star. The games have resumed. People talking about free agency. But one of the hottest topics the past few weeks, the NBA draft, the 2026 NBA draft, which is looking more and more attractive to everyone. So a ton of teams have been tanking, most specifically the Utah Jazz, who have been playing their stars for the first three quarters but sitting them down in the fourth quarter, which is very, very weird. So, I know a ton of podcasts have done this, have talked about this. Maybe we can recap some of the best ones we've heard. What is the best solution to the NBA's tanking problem is blank. Fill in the blank. Um, Gab. Sorry, Maui, let's start with you. Alam ko may shinare ka, Maui. So, I do want to hear what you're going to pitch.
I think super, super daming people have opinions on this. I think either way you go, there will be repercussions. There will be plus minuses, pros and cons, as they say. Ako, I really think that the only way you can prevent yung deliberate tanking is if you probably put similar weight in terms of getting the number one pick with all the non-playoff teams. I think that's gonna be one of the things that I would propose. I think the from what I've read, the mitigation to that is bigger chance to get the second or third pick for those that have the worst record. So maybe protect the number one pick, but still protect the teams on the in the bottom by maybe making their chances bigger when it comes to getting the third or fourth pick. Some variation of that. But sobrang complex talaga. And I think the one I shared to you guys, which already was used for another league, is probably one of the things that could be something to consider for the NBA. I think it's a bit ironic yung sa Utah Jazz that they're being used as the scapegoats. It's Danny Ainge leading the helm, and I think one of the teams that have been, I think, reporting what the Utah Jazz is doing is the OKC Thunder from rumors.
Yun yung irony dun no?
Diba?
What a
It's
joke.
ironic. If it comes from Philadelphia or if it comes from OKC, I think it's ironic to say that tanking is bad for the NBA because they've tanked so much for so many seasons in the past. And they showed the blueprint. It's the reason why we call Joel Embiid the process. Diba? In the NBA. And Sam Hinkie had to die. Had to be fired to get this process going. And
Grabe ka naman sa die. Kala ko, namatay na si Sam Hinkie.
Sam Hinkie had to run so we can walk. The OKC
yeah,
Thunder can walk.
Yeah, metaphorical death. But yeah, I think the NBA really has to address this problem. And I think even past owners like Mark Cuban has already started to try to find a way, try to find a remedy. But it totally makes sense. Diba? If you've been watching the 2026 class, there's a reason why Cooper Flag reclassified to the 2025 class. And I think a lot of people are excited. And the Utah Jazz don't give an F if they get fined 500,000 for tanking. I've heard so many rumors, even a crazy rumor that the number one pick next year is worth 100 million, which is why the Utah Jazz doesn't care if they get penalized. So, yeah, so many ways to remedy this. I think magandang discourse to our viewers. Maybe they could give their own points of view. Maybe they could give their own suggestions on how to mitigate tanking in the NBA. But for me, there will always be bad teams. There will always be teams. I think it's a question of, do you want to be a top contender or do you want to be a Chicago Bull or a play-in team in the NBA? Diba? If you want to be a contender, the only thing you can do is do a full reset. And I think my suggestion of putting more weight into the number one pick, putting more protection to getting the number one pick could be a potential solution to extreme tanking in the NBA.
Yep.
Okay. I just want, before I give my answer to my best solution for the tanking problem, I do want to say this. I don't like tanking because I'm a fan and I watch basketball, and I don't like it when I put on a game and who are these players? Diba?
Especially
Diba?
if you're watching live, diba? You're paying hundreds of
Paying
dollars
very
to watch.
expensive tickets, I would say.
You
I watch
should
an
know.
NBA game,
You
I'm
should know.
shocked by the prices, but yeah, it's diba? You go into a game, you're expecting to see let's say date si I want to see Kawhi play. Oh wait, he's sitting out again because the Clippers are tanking or something like that. Or I want to see Shea, SGA. Oh wait, they're playing their G League guys. Yun, I paid hundreds of dollars to see this. Diba? So it's the same thing. When they put on a game, I don't want to see teams just put their I won't say bad players. They're lesser players, they're non-stars because they want to lose a game. It sucks. I don't like tanking. But I understand why teams tank. Maui, you said it yourself. The OKC Thunder essentially proved tanking works. So teams will continue to tank because it's been proven to work. They won a championship by tanking. They got their players, their stars, Jalen Williams, the smaller one, Chet Holmgren, Kayson Wallace. They got all of those by tanking, by gathering picks, intentionally losing, and getting high draft picks. So it's been proving tanking works. I understand why teams tank. So I support teams that tank because the NBA is structured wherein they're incentivized to lose. Now that's where I go. To solve tanking, you either have to incentivize winning or disincentivize losing. Diba? Because right now, teams who are not vying for the playoffs are incentivized to lose. It's been that way for years. They're incentivized to lose because they get the top draft pick. They get a good draft pick, not necessarily the top, but a good chance at getting a good draft pick. And with how the rookie scale deals are structured and how good the young players are nowadays, you get a generational talent for a small hit in your salary cap for a cheap contract. Diba? How much is Cooper Flag making? It barely scratches the salary cap. And you get him as your main centerpiece. Diba? So teams are really incentivized to lose. So to solve tanking, you either have to incentivize winning or disincentivize losing. Now si Maui sent a link that basically the women's, I think the US Women's Hockey League is using, wherein teams who are done with contending for the playoffs or so they're out of playoff contention essentially garner draft points by winning games. And that increases their chances to get the number one pick. I like it. My only problem is, though, for me, those teams that have no chance of winning at the start of the season, like for example, the Washington Wizards, I don't think they have any playoff or championship aspirations to start the season. They're gonna tank early. They're gonna tank. Start pa lang. Let's try to get out of playoff contention and then start winning. So I don't know if you like that. They're gonna start winning once they're done with playoff contention. So I do foresee that teams will try to tank early. Teams who don't aspire to win for the season. So I don't know if that's the right solution. My solution is, I think you have to hit them where it hurts. Their pockets. You have to hit the teams, the players, the coaches, everyone within the organization, hit them where it hurts the most, their pockets. So my proposal is, if you finish last, the players, coaches, GMs, the owners take a cut in pay. Like if you're finished at the bottom, you take a 40% cut. You only get 60% of your salary. If you finish second to the last, you get a 30% cut in your pay.
Ang ganda.
Diba? You still get your pick. Diba? I think the reason for the lottery and getting the top draft pick is because so teams can get more talent. The bad teams can get more talent. As you said, Maui, there will always be bad teams, and the draft is a way for the bottom teams to improve and get more talent. Some people have said cut their salary cap for next season. I don't think that's a good solution, because you want the bad teams to improve, and having more cap space gives them a chance to sign better players. So for me, you really have to cut, really have to disincentivize them from losing. And yes, they can still tap to get the top draft pick, but let's see if players will really want to sit out games knowing that they're gonna lose money, they're gonna lose millions. Imagine Trae Young. He got traded to the Wizards this season. I'm not sure about his current salary for this year, but let's just say he's earning $50 million for this season. I don't think Trae Young is gonna play for the rest of this season. The Wizards want to lose, right? So they don't want to play Trae Young. But let's see you tell Trae Young to sit out when he's only gonna get $30 million of his $50 million salary. He's gonna want to play, right? Let's see a player who's earning $10 million for this season want to sit out if they're only gonna get $6 million. If they're gonna lose 40% of their pay. They're not going to want to do that. They're going to want to be on the court. They're going to want to play. They're going to want to win. For me, that's the way to do it. Imagine a coach who's earning $5 million for this season. You tell him that, hey, if you finish last, you're only gonna get 3 million of your 5 million. They're not gonna want to lose. So for me, that's the solution. Now, I don't think this is gonna pass the board of governors
Right.
of the NBA.
The,
Right?
the players union might want to have a word with you, Gab.
So, diba, yun. That's the con. I don't think the players are gonna want this. We're not gonna give up money, but I think that's the best solution. The nearer you are to the bottom of the standings, the more money you lose all throughout the organization. I think that's the best thing. Players are gonna want to win. They're still gonna get top good draft picks, which enables them to get better, because that's always it, diba? Parang, you can't have 2 top 4 picks 2 years in a row. But what if they're still bad, diba? So they're not gonna get a good draft pick for the next season. So yun para sa akin. You really have it's the same thing with the English Premier League, which is why you see even the teams at the bottom still try to win games because they don't want to get relegated to a lower division. Because you go to a lower division, you earn less money. Your salary is cut because the earnings from the top tier league is a lot better than your earnings in the lower division. So that's why teams in the Premier League don't want to get relegated, because they earn less money. So you really have to disincentivize them from losing. Yun para sa akin. The money thing. You really have to hit them where it hurts. Sammy.
Yeah, I love that pick. I just wanna jump on that pick. I think maraming people have mentioned some sort of relegation. I think the idea also of like maybe if you're one of the bottom teams, you don't get the same share from the NBA TV deals, the rights, kasi that's where the NBA makes their money, diba? From the TV deals, from the rights. So maybe that's something, because medyo mahirap yung we cut 40% of the salary, but maybe if they don't get the shares from the TV deals, could be something. I think that's something that we can consider. One of the suggestions that I really like, now this is more from an entertainment perspective. If you, I think, see, this one was suggested by someone, a listener of Bill Simmons. So I think it was like, if you, okay, you can tank, you get the bottom 3 draft picks, but parang it's hindi ko na masyado maalala yung mechanics of it. Okay, but like, let's say, okay, these are the 3 teams that will pick dun sa top 3, but instead of like the team picking a player, parang yung player yung pipili ng team. So hindi ka guaranteed na okay, the number 1 pick will go to Sam. Parang it will be Cooper Flag who will be picking. Okay, Cooper Flag, ito yung bottom 4 teams. Where do you want to go? So it's sort of like a reverse draft for like the bottom 3, bottom 5 players. So parang it doesn't make sense for you to like get the number 1 pick because Cooper won't necessarily go to your team, and you don't want to look too bad or too sad na the top pick will not avoid your team, diba? You want to be competitive enough so that you're attractive to the top pick. So that was something that I thought was also interesting. Moving on. Sorry, one last point. I do want to say, not so related to tanking, but you mentioned it kasi Gabi. One of the impacts of tanking then is, yun nga, fans losing out on getting to watch their favorite players in live, and also still paying a ton of money just to watch G League players, diba? So, ako yung isang nag-isip kong solution doon, at least for the fans, is, okay, you're not gonna play your star players in this game. You're forced to cut your ticket prices by 50%. Something like that. So, at least, okay, we don't get to see the star players, but I get the tickets at a discounted price para lang makanood pa rin ako ng NBA game. More for the experience. So, I'm a man of the people, so I want the people to be able to watch the NBA games. We're hitting 1 hour. Let's do one last question. Quick fill in the blanks na lang. Let's talk about one more NBA storyline. Actually, storylines. One last statement. The storyline I'm following the most post All-Star break is blank. Maui.
I think after what happened during the last playoffs, I think the storyline I would be looking at the most is two things, both related to injuries. Number one is will we get a healthy playoffs? Healthy meaning most of the players that have been crucial and critical to their teams, will they be able to play full strength? I think we got a blow this morning. Si Dylan Brooks is just fractured his hand. So, natamaan agad yung statement ko. And number two, which of the top players like sila Tatum, Irving, the who are injured will still play this season.
Si Kyrie ata, Maui, sinabi na, hindi na siya maglalaro.
Yeah, I think si Kyrie will not play.
Si DeJounte, I think, is coming back soon.
But DeJounte is coming back. So, I think that's one of the biggest storylines. I think, especially when you're looking at the Eastern Conference, I think si Tatum is a guy to watch out for. He hasn't really been very open to discuss kung ano ba talaga yung plans. Will he or will he not play? Based on the moves that the Celtics made nung trade deadline, it looks like they will try to compete during the playoffs. And it's going to be interesting to see because the James Harden trade really changed the landscape of the Eastern Conference. The Cleveland Cavaliers have been the best team by far in the NBA since the trade deadline. And I think they've lost only one game. One of their last 15 games. And I'm excited to see. And at the same time, I'm very siguro may PTSD from last season. I'm very nervous to see which players will get injured also. Because that's the reality of it. The NBA, playing in the NBA right now is just for all the old heads saying that we didn't have trainers no 80s, no 70s, but we were playing 82 games. The game has changed so much, diba? That really, yung mileage sa players, sa body ng players really takes a toll. And yun, I that's the storyline I would be really watching out for, injuries during the second half. Because that can dictate how the playoffs will also, how the next champion, or will OKC repeat? Remember, their top two players have, si SGA is now also injured. Jalen Williams has been injured basically 80% of the season. So injuries, definitely.
Gab.
Ako is very specific to one team. Cade Cunningham and the Detroit Pistons. How far will they go? That's the storyline I'm watching the most.
Will he be the MVP?
Exactly. Maui, I think he made a
MVP
statement
contender
after his game at Madison Square Garden. He thinks he's the MVP. And I've been supporting him for MVP ever since the start of the season when they catapulted themselves into the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. I think he has a good case. And I think of all the teams, aside from the Lakers, which of course, I watch a lot of Lakers games, the second team that I've watched the most this season are the Detroit Pistons. Because I love how they play. They bring it every night. They bring it every game. Even if their stars are out, they bring it. Their bench brings it. They're physical. They fight. We just had a big fight.
Detroit basketball.
Bad boys are back.
Yeah, they have an identity. They will be physical. They will they will fight literally and figuratively. They will fight. So I love watching this team. I've fallen in love with this team. I love how Cade Cunningham plays. I think he should be the MVP. I hope he doesn't get injured right after this. I mean, they have a game going on, but I think he has a good case for MVP. He's played majority of the season. Detroit is number one in the East. Some people are not picking them. I mean, diba, yung people say that you have to take your lumps first. You have to take your losses first in the playoffs before you can actually contend for a title. But I think they could. I think they could. I love the fight, and I'm definitely watching if they're gonna continue to be the number one seed. I think the Celtics are kind of close, and the Cavs. So would they have the best record in the NBA? I think if the Pistons get the best record in the NBA, I think Cade should be MVP. But I think they're not very far from OKC. Uh, OKC is playing without SGA. They've lost a couple of games, so the Pistons are right there behind them. So I think if Detroit gets the best record in the NBA, I think Cage should be MVP.
They are
If
the best record in the NBA right now.
they are on all the more. So to all NBA fans out there, to all basketball fans out there, if you have not been watching Pistons basketball the past how many weeks or months, please do watch them. I think they're one of the more entertaining teams to watch. Again, they just bring it every night. They fight, they play well, they have a really great superstar in Cade Cunningham. So the Pistons got me. They're really fun to watch.
I love that pick, Gab, kasi sakto that you mentioned Detroit because the one storyline that I'm looking out for, I'm looking out for a couple, but the one team that I'm following right now and cheering for, the rivals of the Pistons, the Charlotte Hornets. I'm so invested in the Charlotte Hornets making it to the playoffs, and I'm hoping they make it to the number 8 seed because I want Detroit versus Charlotte in the first round. Give me more of that. Give me 7 games of Detroit versus Charlotte. I am invested.
Yung maganda
Eric
na sila ng
Collins.
yung ng WWE ring imbis na court.
Maglagay
si
na silang ladders, steel chairs.
Miles Bridges and Diabate versus
Le-
Stu and Jalen Duren tag team
Let's
match.
go. Let's go. So that's one storyline I'm invested in. I want the Hornets to make it to the playoffs. They've been so interesting. They've been so entertaining. Obviously, Maui, you talked about Eric Collins. We love him as a play-by-play analyst. And I also want to see more of that Detroit versus Charlotte rivalry. Hopefully, we get to see more of that in the playoffs. So, that's it for today's episode. Hope you enjoyed our little fill in the blanks game. Please comment down below your answers to our 5 fill in the blank statements. We'll see you again next time. Malapit na Gilas. Let's pray for them. Bye-bye. Ingat.